My second favorite thing about collage is creating my own collage material. I love going out and looking for the vintage things and books that are being tossed, but I also really enjoy the process of creating my own material to use, something that's uniquely mine, and it's sort of creating art within art. So I am going to show you some of my favorite ways to do that, and maybe something will resonate with you and you can incorporate it in your art as well. The first thing, and this is super easy, is I've just painted some black paint on to this paper. Now I can make it as big as I want. I'm just showing you a little section. And then I take a Sharpie or a pen top. It can be a different size than this, but this is what I'm using. And I just dipped it into some white paint. And then I start doing some circles. Now, if you are going to do mark making like this, working in odd numbers or various sizes, or it could be a very specific pattern, but odd numbers are more pleasing to the eye. So my black paint might have been a little bit too wet under there, but here's another one that I did over here. So you can just cut this out and you can have a few stacks, and you can do them in different colors and have fun with that. I love circles. I use circles all the time. Something else you can do is I have this little texture gadget, and there's so many of these in different varieties in the paint store, and just got some paint on it, and I can do some big bold lines. And again, you can vary this. You can make a big long strip. You can do just short ones like that. You can come back and go over it in the opposite direction. But you're making a pattern, and once it dries, again, it's ready to use. If I painted the black paint over white paint, doesn't work so well just with the white paper, but if you put the black paint over white paint and then scratch a pattern in it, that's also a lot of fun. You can use a fork or different sharp utensils and get a pattern that way. The dictionary pages that I talked about before are very useful when you want to do some bigger, bolder lines because they're big pages. So here, all I've done is painted black paint on here. It's not perfect. It's obviously not a heavily loaded paintbrush. And then I just tear them up, and again, circles. I use it just as is into my collage. Now, I might vary the size. This one had a few smaller ones on it. If I was going to use it in a collage, I would either use one or I would use 3 or 5, and I might vary them in sizes as well. It's much more pleasing to the eye. This dictionary page I painted with the fluid acrylics, and I spoke about this before because it's a nice way to add a pop of color without covering up too much. You can still read the text. You can paint a whole bunch of different colors, all different pages, and have a stack to draw from when you're making your collages. Tissue paper is another really fun thing. Let me get rid of that paintbrush. So the fun thing about tissue paper is that whatever you put on it, if it's a white tissue paper, when you apply it to your collage, it's going to disappear. So I'm just making a little random pattern with some gray acrylic paint. And then when I use that, it's going to disappear into the collage, and I'll show you what that looks like. This is one that I did, and here, same pattern up there and a little speck there. And you don't see the tissue paper. It completely disappears, and all you see is the image. And in fact, I actually wrote these words on tissue paper too, and then I could see where I wanted to place it, and tissue paper disappears and the words are just left. So tissue paper is your friend in collage. And if you buy tissue paper, try and buy it in the art store, because this tissue paper that I got is archival. It's artist tissue paper. So have fun with mark making on that. Here's again some more circles, and these circles will show and the tissue paper will disappear. Photography has long been a passion of mine, and I've always tried to figure out ways to incorporate my photography into my collage work, because I just think it's a perfect marriage. So not only do I do a lot of black and white photography, I also enjoy Polaroid photography. And this is a Polaroid, as we're all familiar with, and you can absolutely use a Polaroid image right onto your collage. I would use the Yes paste because it's a little bit heavier. But another way is to create an emulsion transfer, which takes this picture, you do it in water, and it comes off of this, and you slide a piece of paper underneath, and then you get it to adhere to that. And it's such a fun process, and then you get to use your Polaroids in your work. I suppose you could actually make a copy of this too if you wanted to save it. And here's another one I did. It's a swimming pool, but this is on a little bit heavier paper. This is on a very nice lightweight watercolor paper, and I actually prefer that. Another way I use my photography is printing on vintage paper or tissue paper. So this is Queen Anne's lace, and I scotch taped a piece of the ledger paper to a piece of computer paper, and then I printed my image right onto the ledger paper. So then I will cut around it and take it off, and it's there to use. The trick about doing this kind of photography is to make sure that you don't have anything else in the background, so that it doesn't take away from your image. I started playing around with some industrial looking pictures, and I printed these on tissue paper. Again, same process. I scotch taped the tissue paper to the computer paper and ran it through. So now this doesn't smear or anything. It's on there. Sometimes you get a little bit of ink on there, but when you glue it down, if that bothers you, you can paint over it. Or I can cut it out before I even start. So this is for a new project that I'm going to be working on. And again, tissue paper disappears, and all that's left is the image. And I did a water tower. I'm excited to see how that looks. Here's that Queen Anne's lace on the tissue paper. That came out pretty nice. It's very light and quite feathery looking, but it works. And this is just some old paper, or I guess it's old, but it's aged and yellowed. And when you print on it, it's just a different effect than using an actual photograph. And I can show you on this piece that I'm still working on. This was a photograph, as was this, and I printed it on the tissue paper, and it disappears, and all you have left is the image. So I really like where this is going. This one is not finished, but I do like this effect a lot, and it's a lot of fun. So have some fun with that. You can absolutely print in color. I just prefer black and white, and I make it very contrasty and nothing else in the background. But you can absolutely play around with that, and maybe it's a special picture of your children or a beautiful garden or something that really speaks to you or resonates with you. Try printing it and see how it works on your collage. Eco prints are another way to create some beautiful material, and very unexpected, because you just don't really know what it's going to look like when you do it. If you've ever heard of them or seen it done on the computer, basically what it is taking some paper and then layering leaves or things that you find outside. I did, I had some rusty nails in there. And here's a good one with the rusty nails. You can see the nails there. So you put down your paper, you're layering your materials, and you put down more paper, and you stack and stack and stack, and then you weight it down in water. And I'm probably not explaining it as well as I should. There's plenty of YouTube videos on it. And then, and there's onion skins in there, which the onion skins gave it this beautiful orangey maroon color. That was very unexpected and a lot of fun. So you don't know what you're going to get, but it's definitely worth trying if that interests you. And like I said, there's plenty of YouTube videos that explain the process. Some people do it in a pot on the stove. I did mine in a pan in the oven, and it worked great. I was very pleased with that. So, and what I did, let's see here. I was playing around with that Sharpie and just adding another dimension to your eco prints with some more circles. And lastly, photo transfers. That's another fun way. I haven't done my own photography in a photo transfer, but I've taken some old pictures out of magazines and had a lot of fun with those. So what you do is you take a magazine picture that you like, you glue it down onto whatever paper that you're working on. Now this is from a manual, an operations manual, but I like the lines, and leave it overnight if at all possible. Don't do this sooner than you should. Overnight works so much better. It's truly adhered, and it comes off, the backing comes off so smoothly if you wait. So you're going to spray it with some water, and it takes a few seconds to get it started. I've already started this one. It's been soaked. So you'll see that I'm actually taking the back off of the picture. It's the paper that's coming off, and it's leaving the image that I wanted, which is a market scene in like New York or something. I don't really remember what I put down there. But see, this is all the back. That's the paper that's coming off the back. And now your image is right on whatever paper you would like it to be on. I picked that because I like the lines going through it, and you can see them. So you can practice that. Doesn't take a lot of practice, and it is really very fun to do. Here's one that I already did. So this was the image that I wanted, which was the train. I rubbed all the old paper off the back, and you can see the lines through it. And then while it's still a little damp, I sealed it with matte medium, and then it's all set to go. I can either cut it up and use the image as is, or I can tear it and use a part of it. So have a little go at that and see if that's something that interests you. And lastly, I thought I was finishing up with that, but I have one more thing, and that is stamps. Let's see, I'll find a piece of paper. So I make these little stamps out of the container that you get meat or vegetables in from the grocery store. And let's get some. So I have a little India ink here. I just cut out different shapes and glue it to some cardboard. And then I just brush on a little India ink. And then when it comes to mark making on your collage or making collage material, you can make rubber stamps. And you can use, you're gonna have to load it up again, but you get the idea. So you can do that on plain paper. You could do it on, here's a piece of ledger paper, if you just wanted to make some patterns or marks. That's one other way. And Q-tips are another fun way to make marks. Now you can do this right on your collage, or you can just make some random marks on paper and then it's already ready to go. So enjoy the process of making your own paper. It truly is very satisfying, and experiment. And I would love to hear back ideas that you use to make your art within your art. And that's really what it is. It's your personal touch, your personal unique ideas to add another dimension to your collage work as you're going along. So if you have time and you can put together a little stash of your own papers to draw from, you'll be all set and not having to try and make them while you're actually creating your collage. So have fun with it. It's really an enjoyable process.